So today, what we're going to do is we're going to understand NetApp write and read operations. We all know that we use storage to dump data, and there's a high performance these enterprise storage boxes provide, and huge amount of data is being written and read per second. So, but what happens in the background? How is the data being written? Okay, we'll try and understand what goes in the background. First, we will see write operations. Now, if you see some small screens, small blue screens from the top, these are nothing but your client machines or your laptops or your server or it could be anything. And all these are writing data onto your storage box. The big rectangle box that you see, you can imagine it as a storage box. Okay. The first thing that comes whenever you're writing data, anything, uh, it is being written on a RAM. Okay. Now this notepad, I'm making changes, right? I'm making some changes. All these are on RAM. If I save it, then only it will go to disk. Correct? Whenever I say save, then it goes and writes your data. It commits your data that I have saved the data. Similarly, in storage also, whatever the things that you are editing or updating or whatever you're doing, everything is first done on the RAM. Okay, it is generally RAM is always a RAM, be it on any system. Okay, it is just your read or access memory, random access memory or whatever it is. It is general RAM. Okay, so the size of RAM would be very high. It could be 128 GB or whatever. Based on the fast box that you have purchased, the size of RAM may differ from model to model based on your requirement. Okay, so the first point where the data comes is your RAM. Okay. After RAM, data is moved to NVRAM. NVRAM. Now, NVRAM is nothing but your non-volatile RAM. Now, this is specific to NetApp. You would not, I don't know about other technologies, but you would not see all these in any other technologies. Okay. So, what is this NVRAM? What is the functionality of this NVRAM?
Is to store data in non-volatile memory.
Correct.
NVRAM serves to store data in non-volatile random access memory.
Yeah, it is a non-volatile memory. Now, what does this non-volatile memory does? Now, as we know that the first data, whenever a client is writing a data, it comes onto a RAM. After RAM, it comes onto NVRAM. Listen to this very carefully. Whenever data is written on NVRAM, NetApp gives a commitment, gives an acknowledgement to client or any machine which is writing data that I have written the data. Okay, once the data is written on NVRAM, it commits to the NetApp that I have saved your data. You don't have to worry about your data. After NVRAM, data is pushed onto disks. After this, it comes on to disk. Final destination is disk. RAM to NVRAM, NVRAM to disk. Now, between NVRAM and disk, there is something called as CP. Between NVRAM and disk, there's something called as CP. This is nothing but consistency point. Now, what is this consistency point? As I said, the data, whenever is saved on NVRAM, it gives an acknowledgement to client that I have written the data, but still data is not pushed onto disk. Data from NVRAM moves to disk only when a CP is triggered. Okay. Now, as I said, your NVRAM could be, it could be of any size. I'm not going to size specifics. It will, vary from model to model and all this. So it it moves from NVRAM to disk only when a CP is triggered. Now, when does a CP trigger? What are the situations when a CP would be triggered? It is triggered every 10 seconds. Every 10 seconds, data from NVRAM is flushed onto disks. Okay.
Yeah.
Whenever snapshot is triggered, I'll tell you what is snapshot. We'll be talking about it. Separate session for snapshot. Whenever a snapshot is triggered, reaches a threshold of 50%. Now, this threshold limit is not consistent. Different KB articles of NetApp describe different threshold limits. Okay, some take note point it to 50%, some point it to 80%. But you have to understand that there is a threshold. Okay, after that threshold process, now suppose imagine my NVRAM is of 10 GB. After my data reaches 5 GB, after it crosses 5 GB, all the data is pushed on from NVRAM to disk. It is saved onto disks. Okay, these are few conditions where NVRAM, CP is triggered when a CP is triggered. Okay, in this way, data travels on NetApp, comes from systems, our client machines to RAM, from RAM to NVRAM, now NVRAM to your disk.